Welcome back, Brewers. S Freezy here for my hairiest deck yet. Cue Elton John music, because we're going to build Bennie Bracks Zoologist. Bennie Hare Apparent. This mono white commander actually draws cards, which is definitely needed for the color, and you will have a super wide board of rabbits to pummel your opponents with. Bennie Bracks Zoologist is a 4 mana 3/2 with Convoke. At the beginning of each end step, not just your own, if you create a token this turn, draw a card. So during each of our turns, we create a token. We also want to maximize the tokens we create during other players' turns to draw extra cards. And Benny's a great commander because even if they kill him, you have Convoke, so you can almost always cast him for next to nothing. So this card will be on the battlefield and you will be drawing cards. This is also going to be my shortest deck yet, so we're going to jump right into it with 35 Hare Apparents. The reason we built this deck is a deck can have any number of cards named Hare Apparent, which breaks the rules of Commander. So you know it's got to be a good card, right? 1 and a white. When this creature enters, create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to the number of other creatures you control named Hare Apparent. So the first one is a bear. The second one is a 3/3, and it only gets better. If you hit your land drops, then have Hare Apparent on turns 2 and 3. On your third turn, you can also cast Bennie Bracks by convoking your 3 Hare Apparents and tapping 1 mana, and then draw a card. Then we're going to just amass our rabbit army, pump them, draw cards, and blow up our opponent's stuff for victory. So that's going to wrap up my intro, and you already know over a third of the deck, so you're welcome. Now for our ramp, we have Soul Ring on 1 because, obviously. Legion's Landing is a spicy one because ETB it makes a token, so you can draw a card off your commander. And then if you attack with 3 more creatures, maybe 3 rabbits perhaps, you can transform it into a land that will make a token at instant speed to make sure you can draw cards on your opponent's turns. And also just ramps it. Mind Stone is a classic monocolored ramp spell. It's just a rock that cycles when you don't need it. Next is a Catcher's Monument. It's a 3-drop that reduces our creature spells by 1, but whenever we cast a creature spell, we make a 1/1 body. So this helps with our token production, and these 1/1s are great to get Skull Clamped. We have a deck chock full of X1s, why not Skull Clamp? Also, because we're monocolored and typo, we're running Patchwork Banner, which both pumps the team and taps for mana. This is the first true Bracket 2 deck I showed on my channel, but Smothering Tithe, if you're going to be Bracket 3, is an obvious include. The tokens in your opponent's turn mean you draw cards, meaning that Smothering Tithe is even better in this deck, which is kind of wild. The problem is in mono white, there's not many more game changers I would include outside of like Ancient Tomb, which doesn't even need to be in this deck. It's definitely comfortable at Bracket 2, which you could probably make the land base for Field of the Dead and add Smothering Tithe to make it Bracket 3 if you wanted. Since we're both monocolored and typo, we have 2 lands that tap for boatloads of mana. Nykthos and Three Tree City are for monocolor and typo respectively, and because of our mono white bunnies, we're going to ramp for tons of mana with these lands. We also have Sword of Hearth and Home. This is going to ramp out a basic when we connect with something. It also gives protection from green and white, but then equally importantly, when we do connect, we can exile a creature we control, probably a Hare Apparent, to get that trigger one more time, to make even more fluffy bunnies. I've already mentioned 2 busted equipments in Sword of Hearth and Home and Skull Clamp, but we're also running Stoneforge Masterwork. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it and has equipped 2. Notably, this and Skull Clamp are also 1-cost equipments, so we're running Urza Saga to help find them, or Soul Ring, but we want to get these cards if possible. And seeing Skull Clamp will make this deck so much better. Basically, every deck that runs Skull Clamp, it's the best card in the deck. You should go find it, if possible. And Stoneforge lets you do that. It's also an ETB trigger, so if you use Sword of Hearth and Home first, you can get the other equipments later on. Definitely include this package in the deck. We've got more cards on the deck, but it's not as good as Skull Clamp. A rabbit itself, Harvest Stride Host, is a 2 and a white 3/3. Whenever it or another rabbit you control enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 on the turn, so this pumps maybe 1 large attacker, or you can spread it out as you see fit. And then draw a card if it's the second time it's plays draw this turn. Caretaker's Talent and Enchantment, 2 and a white. Standard players probably know this one. Whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, but it's each turn, same as our commander, so you can trigger on your opponent's turns as well. And for 1 white, it comes level 2. You can copy a token. This will proc its level 1 card draw and your commander's card draw. Unfortunately, it's sorcery speed, so you can only do it on your turn, but still, it's free 2 cards on your turn. Last level is 3 and a white. Your creature tokens get +2/+2, which will triple the power of the rabbits created by your Hare Apparents. Not to mention, this and half the cards in the deck have cute little bunnies for the art, so that's a nice little bonus. Argent Deus is a Modern Horizons 3 card that blurs the line between card draw and removal, so you know it's good. 1 and a white. ETBs with 2 oil counters on it. Whenever 2 or more creatures attack, maybe some bunnies, maybe your opponent's stuff, put an oil counter on it, and then for 2 and tap it, you can remove 2 oil counters from it. Exile another target non-land permanent, not just creature. Its controller draws 2 cards. This lets you turn in your bunnies for card draw, or it lets you exile for 2 mana any of your opponent's permanents, and then they draw 2 cards. The downside is definitely worth it because it just sits out and removes the best thing every single turn. Next, we've got Thraben Charm, another MH3 flexible all-star card. It's a 1-in-white instant with 3 modes. The first, it deals damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control to target creature. So if you have your bunnies out, this will absolutely demolish something. Or destroy an enchantment, or exile any number of target player's graveyards, obviously your opponent's here. This will turn off any opposing graveyard strategies and all of them at the same time. Swords to Plowshares is another obvious auto-included white. Exile target creature, controlling its power for just a mere 1 mana. The life gain shouldn't really matter because we're going to pack so many bunnies. If we're killing someone, it's not often by a small increment of damage, so the life gain should not matter. We've got Winds of Abandon Overpath here. It's 1 and a white for the same effect, but sorcery speed. And then you have the Overload cost, which is why we're running this one, which will hit each creature you don't control and clear the path to hopefully attack for lethal. Giving your opponents a bunch of basics shouldn't matter if they immediately die afterwards. We have another one-sided board wipe. This one is 7 mana, but it doesn't give our opponents lands. It's a sorcery speed one as well. Mass Calcify, destroy all non-white creatures. They may keep some creatures, sure, but even our artifacts in this deck are white creatures, so this will leave us untouched so we can swing for lethal. Next, we have 3 Planeswalkers that all have removal modes on them. You'll notice this deck, despite being mono-white, has a lot of flexibility to it, which I think makes it pretty powerful. First, we have the Wandering Emperor, 2 and 2 white. It's got Flash. When she ETBs, you can use her abilities at instant speed, which is pretty unique for a Planeswalker, which means her -1 to give us a 2/2 Samurai will trigger our commander, and that'll took him out Vigilance. -2 exiles a tap creature, and you gain 2 life, probably a creature attacking you. And her +1 is kind of useless, don't use it, use the other 2. Elspeth Sun's Champions, high casting cost is balanced by her power. She's a 6-drop, sure, but her +1 makes 3 tokens, which will draw you a card as well, and put a bunch of blockers out for your Planeswalker. Her -3 destroys all creatures of power 4 or greater. This will notably not kill your commander and blow up your opponent's large threatening creatures. Her ultimate is a -7. It pumps every creature you control and gives them flying, and it's an emblem, so it cannot go away. This will make your extremely wide board much more threatening, tripling the power of your tokens and doubling the power of your Hare Apparents. We saved the best for last. Elspeth Stormslayer, 3 and 2 white for a Planeswalker. It starts at 5 loyalty for some reason. Its +1 creates a 1/1 white soldier creature token. However, it's got a static. If 1 or more tokens will be created under your control, twice that many are created instead. So it actually, its +1 makes 2 bodies, and then it also just has that effect for all of our Hare Apparents. This card is a auto-include in this deck. It is so good. But that's not even all it does. It's 0, puts a 1 counter on each creature you control, so it pumps the entire team for a 0, and gives them flying until your next turn, so they can block with flying as well. And then it's -3, destroys target creature and opponent controls with mana value 3 or greater. This ignores the power on previous Elspeth and counts instead CMC, so you can blow up a big thing, even if its power is low. This Elspeth is so amazing. It power creeps on other Elspeths in so many ways, and it only costs 5 mana. What if Anointed Procession was a threat all on its own and just came with a Planeswalker that makes bodies to synergize with its ability? I'm honestly not an Anointed Procession or Doubling Season fan. I think they kind of do nothing on their own. But Mondrak Glory Dominance is a 4/4 that doubles your tokens as well. And for 1 and 2 Phyrexian, you can sacrifice 2 creatures or artifacts, which we have plenty of, to get indestructible. This card I do run. I think it's very powerful. Speaking of powerful, Divine Vegetation is 3 and 2 white, which is the cost of Serra Angel. It's an enchantment. If 1 or more tokens will be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and visions are created instead. This means each of our 35 Hare Apparents will spawn Serra Angels instead of bunnies, which are slightly more powerful. Virtue of Loyalty is a 5-mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put 1 counter on each creature you control and tap those creatures. So this is great in that it gives our team vigilance and pumps them, but also as an adventure, an instant, so you can use on an opponent's turn to make a token and trigger commander. You can create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. So again, uses to trigger commander early, and then late game, it pumps your entire team each turn and you untap them. So it's even better than vigilance. You can convoke to cast your commander and then still untap them. Next, we've got Thousand Moon Smithy. This card is a house. It's 2 and 2 white for a legendary artifact. When ETBs, you make a white gnome soldier artifact creature token with these creatures' power types are each equal to the number of creatures and artifacts you control. So this thing will be huge. And then at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may tap 5 untap artifacts under creatures you control, which will again synergize with the previously mentioned Virtue of Loyalty to transform it. When it transforms, it's a land with tap for white, and whenever you cast an artifact creature spell using this mana, you make that same gnome token, which is going to be massive. And this card is absolutely amazing. It makes a giant body, and then will continue to make giant bodies, and it ramps you. So definitely run this card if you can. It makes the best token in our deck to be copied by our next card, Rootborn Defenses. Populate, which is copy a token you control, and then creatures you control get indestructible until end of turn as Wrath Protection. Now we come to the arguably best typal support card Agriculture's Banner, 5 mana for an artifact. When ETBs, choose your creature type. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+1. And whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. So, given we have so many bunnies in this deck, this will draw us a card probably every turn, and it pumps our entire team. That being said, the type you name has to be rabbits. They are rabbits. Wizards has not yet errated the type to be bunny. Now we get to the most powerful cards in our entire deck, our finishers. We have Throwing Stone, 5 mana. By spells you cast have Ripple 4. Whenever you cast a spell, you may reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast spells with the same name as a spell from among the revealed cards up in their mana costs. Put the rest in the bottom of your library. So this is why we're at 35 bunnies. We need to have a critical mass where we are likely to hit. And if you hit 2 in the first one, you're almost guaranteed for the rest of the game, because each of those 2 will also ripple. This card will let you pretty much get all the bunnies from your deck on the field, and then the next turn you will win the game. Don't run this out naked. Save it for a turn where you have 1 or 2 bunnies to play to make sure you can pop off. Next, we got a sweet alternate win con in Halo Fountain, 2 and a white for an artifact. White and tap it, untap a tap creature you control, make a token, which will let us draw off our commander on our opponent's turn. Second activated ability, 2 white and tap it, untap 2 tap creatures you control, draw a card. We have love to do a mono white. And for 5 white and tap it, untap 15 tap creatures you control, you win the game. So if you have a bunch of bunnies out, you attack, and then pay 5 mana, you can literally win with this at instant speed, no less, for just a total of 8 mana. This card is great to have in your mono white deck as a win button. It's a draw engine, and it makes buys. In our case, it's also a draw engine. Lastly, we have our 2 overrun effects, or creative effects in white. We have Moonchecker Cavalry, 5 and triple white, ETB. Your creatures you control gain flying, and +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures you control. We will have a super wide board. If you play this, it's going to outright win the game. You'll attack for so much damage. And then the Room, Dollmaker's Shop, Porcelain Gallery. Don't let the enchantment typing fool you. Play this as a sorcery. Creatures you control have base power and toughness each equals the number of creatures you control to again swing for massive damage. You don't want to play the first half and get it blown up. It is fine for this deck, but don't play it. Use the 6-drop as a sorcery, unless you're desperate and need bodies. Then use the first half to make 1/1 white tokens whenever you attack, which is still, again, not bad, but you want to save it for the sorcery. That's all our non-lands, but we do have a lot of utility lands worth mentioning. I already talked about Urza's Saga, but I didn't mention you can make you tokens on your opponent's turn that can also get huge based on your artifacts you control. Demolition Field blows up an opponent's land. Volatile Fault does the same thing, however, it makes you a treasure token, so on an opponent's turn, this will draw you a card. Windbrisk Heights has Hideaway, so you can exile 1 card in your top 4 when it enters, and if you pay a white and tap it, you can play that card for free if you attack with 3 more creatures this turn. McKinney Stampede is an overrun MDFC for +2/+2, so definitely run that one at a minimum. Lupin Flower Village taps for white only for creatures, and for 1 and a white, tap and sacrifice it to dig for a rabbit. Chef at Dunes is a desert, 2 and 2 white, tap it, sack a desert. Creature you control get +1/+1 on a turn. Activate only whenever you cast a sorcery. We're also running Scavenger Grounds as a second desert to either pay for this or exile opponent's graveyards. Cast Arden Veil, 4 and 2 white, tap it, create a 1/1 white human creature token to make that token on an opponent's turn to trigger your commander. Memorial to Glory enters tapped, adds white, but you can sack it and paying 4 total mana plus itself to create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens to again trigger your commander. And the best of these effects is Fountain Port, because you can make a token by paying 1 life, either a fish or a treasure for 4 mana, and you can sack tokens to draw cards. So this either makes the tokens for the draw engine or is itself a draw engine. Then we've got one last MDFC in Amaria's Call. It makes 2 4/4 white angel warrior creature tokens with flying, and non-angels, including your bunnies, gain indestructible to your next turn. So this makes 2 great bodies, will trigger your commander to draw you a card, and then also ensures to survive a destroy or damage-based wrath until your next turn to untap with all your bunnies. That concludes my commander deck for Bennie Bracks, Zoologist with Hare Apparent. Hope you liked it. It's a great deck to get maybe a spouse who's on the verge of playing into Magic with all the cute bunnies, and it's fairly simple to pilot while still being very powerful. As always, you can find me on YouTube as Freezy or Commander Wendy's. I am once again asking for you to recommend commanders for me. I think maybe if you give me 3, I'll choose the best one that I think I can make a good deck out of. And this is not for money. I just want to make more commanders that you guys want to see. Even if you don't want any specific commanders, but you'd still like my content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all my stuff, some of which you'll find here. Stay frosty out there and keep on brewing.